DK is DK wraps up his whole testimony. There really isn't much. There really isn't much for DK. I feel like DK. I don't know, man. I think DK kind of helped this. Let me see. I think both sides could use parts of what DK said. So if both sides, defense and the state, can use what you say, that means you help the state out. Okay? Because he definitely set the stage enough for the state to be able to use and use much of what he said. Yeah. It takes a village for sure. And I appreciate everybody helping me stay on track. So then next on Tuesday, now this one shocked me a little bit because we got Dexter Montgomery, right? I didn't realize that he would be coming in. I don't know why I didn't think that. Shout out to Troy. He said I ain't the cop. So I don't know why I didn't think that he would be up there, but he's up there. I guess I didn't know what it would be like when a person, quote unquote, get half their head shot off, how coherent they would be 7 or 8, 10 years later, So anyway, he got on the stand. They didn't show him to us, but he got on the stand, did his thing, and they asked him pretty much why he was there, and he said he's there to get justice for his injuries, which that's respectable because them people did you in dirty, something crazy. One thing he said, he confirmed what D'Angelo White was saying when D'Angelo White kept saying, "I don't know that dude. Like, stop saying that's my friend. I don't know him. I just met him that day. I don't know who he is." Dexter Montgomery, they asked him, "Do you know D'Angelo White?" He said no. He pretty much didn't know nobody in the car except the person, his one friend in the car, but it was a car full of people. He only knew one person in that car, Dexter Montgomery. So he's like, I don't know who that, he didn't know who D'Angelo White was, right? So he confirmed that. He also said, now this was a sad situation where he said he still has a few seizures every month for that shooting incident. So this is going to be this is a lifelong thing he's having to live with. This is extreme. I don't even understand how he survived it because they actually showed us a picture of him, of what he looked like after he recovered from that shooting. I'm going to pull up the picture, man. If you're a little squeamish, cover your eyes or whatever. So can you see? So if you look over his right eye, literally the shooting took half his head off. It took half his head off. I was not that I was surprised, but I'm very surprised that he survived that. That's a large chunk of the brain coming out of that head. You see what I'm saying? That's a large chunk of the brain coming out of the head. I can't even how did he survive that? You can't. I don't know, man. I've seen people survive some crazy shootings. I've never seen them survive one that does that to your head. They had him take his hat off in the I don't know if he was wearing a hat, but they had him show his injuries to the jury, and we couldn't see him, but I did hear him say to the jury, there's no skull part right here. So pretty much it's soft tissue. So he's missing the cranium in a large chunk of his head. You see what I'm saying? That is just pure craziness. Let me get this craziness off the screen because that young man, he'd been through a lot. While he was up there being questioned, you didn't think the state should see the state had to bring him up there for effect. They had to bring him up there for effect. But the reason why I think it's kind of sick is because in going through the case that happened on April 2015, everybody that was involved in that shooting that's in this case, none of them are in this trial. They took deals. They're done. So still proving that this happened when all of the people are uninvolved in the trial is weird because now you can get the jury in their mind to be like that shooting, everybody admitted to it. So it's over. So we have to convict them based on that because that shooting happened. The victim is here. There were 4 of them. So that's quote unquote conspiracy because the OG called them up and told them to come to the gas station. That's trickery on the mind of the jury. This whole RICO case is sick, man. I don't even know how they're getting away with it. But anyway, Keith Adams gets up there on on the cross-examination with Dexter Montgomery pretty much establishes that he doesn't really remember anything. And actually, Dexter Montgomery does not even know that he went to the sit-go first and then left the sit-go and then got shot. He said a few times, I never made it to the store. He thinks he never went to the store. So for a second, that was making me think, wait, did Nard and them shoot the wrong car? Like, was Dexter Montgomery in another car that looked like the car they saw? But then I'm trying to remember, I can't really remember what D'Angelo White said in one of his interviews. Did D'Angelo White actually say, yes, we were at the store and then we drove off because somebody, I think I remember him saying that in an interview that Atkins was actually reading. D'Angelo White did say something like, we was there and then somebody ran up on us with a gun and we drove off, something like that, I think. But either way, Dexter Montgomery had me like questioning, did I remember correctly? Because he was like, we never made it to the store. You see what I'm saying? So it's like just the sick part of missing that much of your brain and surviving a shooting like that to where it just completely wiping your memory in that way. He was adamant, I never went to the store. I never made it. Soon as we was on our way to the store and we got shot at, and he didn't even remember the shooting, but he knew that he never made it, or he thought he never made it to the store. But that was definitely making me think, like, did these people shoot the wrong car? That's what it was making me think. Like, I don't know. Y'all let me know how y'all felt about it. So then they get through with Montgomery. It was pretty fast. I'm assuming they only brought Montgomery in there, like somebody mentioned earlier. They shouldn't have brought him in, but I'm really assuming they brought him in there to show the jury how much damage that shooting did. You know what I'm saying? That's pretty much a close range shooting with a high powered assault rifle. And Nard must have had cold aim because wow. But and then nobody else in the car got hit. He put all that in Dexter Montgomery, excuse me. So then next up we have a crime scene technician named Lynette Robinson. I'm trying to make sure I got the right name. Lynette Roberson. What do you say? Let me read a comment real quick. The judge said there was supposed to be no trauma victim or something close to that. Yeah, I don't know, man. The judge the judge for sure listened to last week's podcast. Y'all seen that, right? I said that the judge was acting like a millennial parent and he wasn't sticking to any of his punishments. He just tell them to do something and then they don't do it and he doesn't really punish them. This week that changed because on Wednesday it came, they got the arguing and the judge didn't like that the state, I guess, didn't contact the defense quick enough or something, even though the defense put a motion in like 9 p.m. the night before court. And then the judge is like, did you reach out to them? And Attorney Love is like, yeah, I reached out this morning. And he was like, that's too late. I'm excluding all that evidence. And of course, Attorney Love did what she does and does not accept it, started arguing back. He's like, I don't care. I told y'all I got 3 remedies going forward. I'm excluding evidence. We're going to come on the weekend or I'm going to do a combination of both. At this time, the remedy I plan on using is exclusion. He didn't even want to hear what she was talking about. And Love was sick. I'm talking about she was sick. She was sick about that. And I felt like he was overcompensating probably because the many times in the past where he was so biased against the defense that he had to just make some type of hard show of stance against the state, even though from what I heard, the state didn't really do nothing wrong. So he picked, I feel like, the wrong time to really like punish them like that. Because there's plenty of times where he could have actually punished them for something that they did wrong. I don't think this was the instance where that should have happened. But whatever, he did it though. So that's on him. So now they get Lynette Roberson up there, right? Roberson up there. And she was a crime scene technician. They pretty much she was the person that came to the crime scene of the April 12, 2015 shooting. She took pictures of everything. She wasn't really involved with the investigation besides the pictures that she took. So they had her up there just going through all these pictures. I don't know why. Like I said, this was a case that they solved and convicted already. So this is all weird. None of it makes sense. But then now this is the first time where I seen Keith Adams get up there and I didn't understand his whole angle, right? I didn't understand his angle at all. Keith Adams comes up there with the crime scene technician, the person that did nothing, that just was there to take pictures. And he questioned her for a very long time, what I felt like a very long time, establishing the fact that she wasn't there at the shooting. She didn't know what happened before she got there. She didn't know how the car got to the point where it was at, even though the shooting had taken place at a different area. And he spent a long time establishing that. And I'm just like, what is the point of trying to break down her testimony when this case has been solved and convicted already? This is one of those cases where this defense really doesn't have an argument for it. The people that were involved already took deals. There's nothing you can argue. Only thing you can establish is that Young Thug wasn't a part of it. That's the only thing you really need to establish. And that's what Shard established with DK, is that nobody in the courtroom was there and nobody was even involved. Nobody made calls. This is one other thing I found out, right? The case, that April 12th case that they convicted DK of and Nard of, they actually also gave them gang charges for that case. But it wasn't YSL. It was a different gang. So you mean to tell me y'all charged and convicted these dudes for a gang shooting, tied it to one gang, and now in 2022, y'all charged them, indict them again for the same shooting, but now supposedly part of a different gang? Again, that is a sick situation. Okay. So I didn't understand Keith Adams' angle with the whole crime scene technician. They went through just a lot for no reason, I feel like. So now there's an interview where, now this part is important, I think. There's an interview where DK is back in, I think, like 2015 or 2016, where he's described, like he's giving up all the information, but I guess he started describing other crimes that were unrelated to this RICO case. So Attorney Shard, he got it thrown out, or not thrown out, but redacted, because he felt like this is harmful. It shouldn't, you shouldn't let DK do this hearsay thing. I don't want him saying anything related to Shannon Stillwell. However, so that was happened. They redacted it, and the state agreed, okay, whatever, we'll redact whatever. Then Brian Steele files a motion saying, why are y'all redacting what we consider exculpatory evidence? Pretty much in that interview, DK says while he's in jail, or while he was wherever he was at, I think he was in the hospital, he heard that Kenneth Copeland is the one that shot Big Nut, right? So Brian Steele is considering that to be exculpatory because it pretty much takes the burden, or it takes the blame off of Jeffrey Williams. And why are you cutting out that one? But why are you? So pretty much what I'm trying to say is the two defense attorneys now have different interests with some evidence. And this is the first time I've seen it in this case, where Shard is saying, get rid of it. Steele is saying, no, if you're about to play this, then play it. The only thing that you should be taking out is the one part where it says that somebody was scared of Jeffrey Williams when Jeffrey Williams never made a threat. So they had opposing opinions on how this evidence should be used and what should be permissible or not, right? And the judge actually sided with Brian Steele. So now whatever else DK said, that's probably going to include something with Shannon Stillwell in that Lil Wayne shooting, or his name is going to come up, it's going to come back in. The jury is going to be able to hear it now because Brian Steele is like, hey, exculpatory. So it's coming in. The state is like, hey, whatever y'all want to do, because we wanted to use it in the first place, but we redacted it because Shard. So, that was major, I feel, because that was the first time that we really seen, and the defense didn't argue with each other, but they had to argue their point, which was opposing, but with the judge. And the judge said, I tend to agree with Mr. Steele. And he did, and he said, hey, it could come in. It could come in. Let me read what Rock Boys for Life just said. What'd he say? Let's see. DA didn't care about the dude. Okay, I think he was trying to show that the jury that the case is messed up in regards to the evidence. He put evidence on the window being halfway down in one pick. And okay, he was trying to show that the botched investigation, if not for DK telling they couldn't identify everybody, that don't knock on any doors, check the house. Oh yeah, that's facts. I put the chat on a bigger screen now, so I'm gonna be able to see it a little bit better. Okay, here we go. Let's get back into this thing here. Now, Yeah, still definitely said that he wanted that part about Kenneth Copeland doing the shooting to be heard because Kenneth Copeland is coming to testify. So they can, question him about that, make him speak about it. Now, on Thursday, we get the Thursday and Friday are half days, so it's not a whole lot of stuff in there. We get a detective she's a former detective with APD, but she was the lead detective on that April 12th shooting. But this is the thing about her. They're planning on using her as a dual witness. Remember, we talked about dual witnesses a couple months ago. Dual witnesses are people who will become expert witnesses and people who will be fact witness. A fact witness is somebody who actually was involved in the case in some way, whether they were a witness or they investigated it. And an expert witness is just somebody who has professional knowledge of whatever the scenario is that's involved in whatever they'll be testifying about, right? So, Lakia Gaither. Now, coming into it, I didn't really know. First of all, they said we need to hide her identity because some of the stuff she was involved with, like it's a safety hazard. The defense was like, nah. The judge is like, nah at first. Then after he heard the argument, he was like, okay, yeah, let's keep her hidden. We don't want those problems.